Welcome to this conversation with the Morning Tea Marketing Missus, where we offer valuable tips to small business owners and sole traders so to get found online, improve their marketing, get seen everywhere, and be absolutely amazing in business.
Yes.
Our hosts are, as usual, Narelle Gaddy, who's accessibility auditor, myself, Janine Vosper, and I help people build their own personal brand authority. Lara Arden is our brilliant business awards coach, and Jan Roche has two businesses, Connect Web Design, I got that out, and over 50s health. And by the way, she is a world champion at the moment too. She'll have to go back a couple episodes to find out where and why.
And then you'll have to listen all the way through because we
will. All this topic. We're talking meetings, and our final one for the month is Narelle's going to be talking about meetings and accessibility. This is such an important topic, Narelle. Welcome.
Yeah.
Hi, ladies.
Hi, ladies. Listen, it's such an important topic. And to be honest, Janine was the one that triggered the thought in my mind. Janine was on a podcast that I do called The Digital Access Show, and her husband has industrial hearing loss. And we were talking about the effects on the family, on the community, but particularly on the person themselves and what they miss out on. And I know for me, with my vision loss, there's so many areas that you just don't know. You don't see things. And, a meeting can be made accessible. It really is such an easy way to do it. And I'm going to ask Janine to bring up the points that she talked about in regards to hearing impairment. But vision impairment, you ever been to a meeting and they'll have a PowerPoint and you can't read it? They've used the wrong colours, or the font's too small, or there's just too much information on it, so you miss. You need to think about your PowerPoints. And one of the really good tips I can give you and say is, look, just make sure you use colour contrast to 4.5 to 1 and make sure your font size is big. If you've got 12 size font, someone at the back of the room is not going to be able to read it. Or if you use a
12 size font on a PowerPoint, naughty.
Yeah, no. Oh, I've seen it. I have seen it, and it is just ridiculous. Wow. Or like using italics. Well, italics can be really hard to read on a PowerPoint. Think of your font type, think of that. But more to the point as well, if you are going to use a PowerPoint and you know that there's someone in the room that's coming that has a vision impairment, a severe vision impairment, or if you're doing it on Zoom, it doesn't matter where you're doing it, or they have some form of visual processing problem, say they're dyslexic, send them the PowerPoint. Yeah. So they can just be with you. Yeah. And they can see what you're talking about. It's such a simple way to do it. But then they are part of the community, and they are also able to put their ideas forward, which means you, as the person running the meeting, gets their input. Yeah. And that's a really big one. I mean, there is things like hearing impairment, which I'm going to get Janine to talk about. But think about, when you go into a room packed full of people, and there's always that one person that might sit always in that middle seat. And they get really upset if someone says, oh, I want to sit there. It could be that the reason they're sitting there is they've got no fields of vision. They've only got a little bit of sight in front of them, and that's the best seat for them. Or it could be that if they're sitting always on the left-hand side, well, it could be they've only got hearing in the right ear. Yeah. It could be even something as simple as they get very claustrophobic, so they always sit near the door. There's so many reasons why people sit in certain spots. So just take note of that and think, well, hang on, there could be a stack of different reasons. So what are the possibilities? You don't go out and say, hey, have you got a disability, mate? Because they're liable to say, no, I'm not telling you. And really, it's no one's business. It really isn't.
Actually, Narelle, may I interrupt?
Yeah.
Because I would like to suggest that we should make it our business to know, because if you think about it, like when people are organising events or presentations, we often get asked in advance, are there any dietary requirements? Well, what if we could be asked the question, are there any or accessibility requirements?
That's exactly what you do.
We could do that.
You can, and that's what you should be doing. Ask before the meeting. In advance, and let them tell you privately.
Yes.
Because they might feel very embarrassed or very, ashamed. I mean, I'm not sure all of our ages, but I know the guys, some of the people I went to school with, I found out later, well, not long ago, one of them was dyslexic. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Another guy that I've just got a tremendous amount of respect for, and he's got learning difficulties, and that's why he was pulled out of school when I think we were halfway through grade 9 or something. And you know what? It was just, Ross didn't want to work. Well, it wasn't that he didn't want to work. It just wasn't catered for back then.
Yeah.
You know, there are so many reasons why people don't tell you they're dyslexic or they're colorblind or whatever it is. But if you're aware in advance and just a simple way of just asking, look, please let me know if there's any special needs that you would like me to cater for.
Yeah.
Or,
It's
you
so
know, any
inclusive.
communication styles.
Yes.
It's such a easy way to do it. You know, a person with in a wheelchair, you know, they might need to be in a room where the doorways are larger, opening doorways, and there's clear ways that they can get through. Or like I come with my guide dog, and you know, I won't mention people that have fallen over guide dogs because it happens. But you know, we always work, if I'm at a BX meeting or a meeting, that I'm sitting off to the side where I can still hear it. Obviously, visually, it doesn't worry me if I don't see it, but my guide dog's out of the way and my guide dog's safe.
Yeah.
Or it could be, you know, there's so many reasons. It could be someone's very light sensitive, so they get massive headaches. So you need to know that. And it could be that someone's just, you know, there's so many things. I mean, Janine, what about hearing impairment? You're the guru on this because it's important.
Just even going back to when I'm in going into any sort of training or meetings, I like to sit up the front. I like to sit facing forward. 2 reasons. I have a really crappy neck, and if I'm just got to be turning sideways, I'm in discomfort the whole time. But I also am slightly short-sighted. I think that's what they call it. So if I'm looking at a board, I'll often need glasses, but I cannot write with glasses on. I just can't do it. I need to be close enough that I can read whatever's going on. Maybe have to just pop the glasses up occasionally, but that I can just write and do whatever I like. So hence, again, so it's not even something, you know, significant, Narelle. It's just what makes me feel comfortable, puts me in a better learning situation. If I'm
exactly. I mean, even down to record the sessions and give everyone an access to the recording, because even if you don't have a disability, you know, just having that extra information, because you do forget what was discussed. So if the session's recorded, make sure you get everyone's permission. But if the session's recorded, you know what? It's such a great resource. And it costs you nothing.
No, very important. Really interesting. I did some work with a person with profound hearing, totally deaf. And so the information that he sends out on his brochures, there's just so much written. It's too much. And it's okay for a part of the population that like everything written down. But for most of us who like dot points, or it's too much to take in. And that's some feedback that I'm going to give him on that. He's tried to include too much information. But for him, because he's profoundly deaf, that's how he gets his information. So it needs to, you know, then maybe click through to something else for as much detail as he's got. It's just overwhelming, the amount of detail on this form. So it's really relevant right across the board, just to what suits people.
Another simple one, turn the captions on. Always have your captions turned on, because if you're recording something and the captions are turned on, what will happen is in Zoom, it will save it as what we call a .srt file. And then you can send the voice recording and the .srt file, and you've got some sort of transcription. It's not the best, but darn, it's so much better than not knowing. Keep talking clearly. Pause. I liked something Janine said somewhere. Commas, punctuation, use it for spacing so people have time to process what you're saying. And face them. You know, it's just so important. And after the meeting, so, you do all these things before the meeting, making sure it's physically accessible and you've checked that if there's any special needs. After the meeting, make sure you send the recording to everyone and not just to those with special needs.
Yeah.
Send the recording, and maybe what you do have to do for those with a hearing impairment, get it transcribed properly with grammar and punctuation and who said what. Again, the reason being context. It's just little things that make a difference, and it does make a meeting accessible. And one last thing, whenever you talk, say your name. A person with a vision impairment will listen for a person's voice. So, like, I know Janine's very well. I know Jan's very well. I'm learning Lara's. But if I'm in a meeting with a
Lara's
lot
the
of people,
soft voice amongst us.
she is.
Yeah,
But
I'm not.
no, but do you know, all of you have got such different ways of speaking as well.
Mm.
And I
Yeah, it's
picked
true.
that up. But when I'm in a meeting with a lot of people, one of the first things we say to everyone, please just say your name. Because when you've got a vision impairment, and it's an important, it doesn't matter what meeting it is, I am then able to know who said what, and then I can address that point. I say, oh, Lara, you said whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I know who said it, and I'm not saying, to the person that said da da da. That's, that means I can't show respect to others as well. And it allows me to participate again. It's little things, they make a huge difference.
And what a wonderful way to allow for audience engagement if the room is small enough, with the numbers not too excessive, that you can go around and everyone gets a chance to introduce themselves and say who they are, even a little bit extra of what they do or what brought them to the meeting. Something that helps you anchor who that person is long enough for you to hear, so it can stick and you can remember.
And don't forget, people don't know what they don't know. So someone might not know they have a vision loss, or they have a hearing loss.
True.
Or they have some type of audio processing issue, or whatever it is. You don't necessarily know yourself that you've got these issues. So by recording it, ensuring the captions are on, saying your names as you're speaking, suddenly just those few simple things are going to make the world of difference to someone.
Lovely.
And we were talking in your podcast, which everyone needs to go find. What's the name of it again, Narelle?
The Digital Access Show.
The Digital Access Show.
Yeah.
I talked about my husband's hearing loss through industrial deafness, and now he's wearing hearing aids, and he'd be so pleased that I'm telling everybody online about this. But
I'm sure.
it's fine. He doesn't listen to these things anyway.
That you're aware of.
But all those points that you mentioned, just even going out to dinner with friends, if there's four of us and the two couples and he's just at the table and there's not a lot of peripheral noise, that he can keep up with the conversation. But we were out on Saturday night and I were just sitting side by side and then facing the other couple, and he couldn't hear what I was saying to the other couple.
Oh,
and that was with the hearing aids on, because there was so much background noise. So it's
and that's a good point.
It's frustrating for the person that's got to repeat themselves a few times also, and it's frustrating for him not hearing it.
It's a really good point. Look at your physical surroundings. Does sound bounce off things? Is there anything to soak the sound up a bit? Like we go to some meetings and the floors are wooden, the desks, the tables are wooden, the chairs might be wood, ceilings, it's glass, it's metal. You cannot hear if you've got a hearing impairment. Everything bounces. And then if you've got a vision impairment, it also, the light reflects off it. And so people with a vision impairment can't stay, or they, like me, I'll just say, look, I just don't go to that anymore. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it because the physical effects on me are not worth the issue. And it's thinking of those things and just remembering everyone does get old. Touch a lot of wood. Well, I'm going to. I'm only going to live to 86. I've said my age.
Oh, yeah.
Is
I
that
said
right?
125, but then I thought I might have been selling myself a bit short.
But it's simple things. So I'm saying consider your environment, consider the actual, the acoustics of the environment, whether there's background music that you can and can't turn off. Consider the lighting. If you consider your PowerPoints, what you're actually going to show people. If you do have someone with a vision impairment or visual processing issues of whatever type, give them the PowerPoint early.
That's such
Or
a great
notes.
idea. I hadn't thought about doing
Yeah.
that. But
Or
that's
notes.
really good.
If they have a hearing impairment, make sure they're seated in a position and ask them where they'd like to be seated. It's a simple thing.
Yes.
Ask everyone before the meeting, is there any, and don't use, is there any communication styles, special needs? Because someone with a language barrier, English as a second language, that's another place that you've got to think about. And that's why those recordings are great and why captions and transcription are great, because they can be translated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's so many little things that you can do to make a meeting accessible.
Yeah.
Even down to people that mumble or say and like and and all those things where they add the extra words and it
or
throws.
don't open their mouth enough.
Yeah.
Well, if you've got somebody who can read lips, then, and most deaf people I know my neighbor is profoundly deaf, but he can read lips extremely well. I can be just talking and he'll know what I'm saying. But you need to be slow down a little bit and you need to enunciate everything clearly also. I just have to mention, just on something different, I wrote a blog the other day about business cards and how wrong people get their business cards. Two of the points that you mentioned on your thing there is that the what's the word you just used, the different colors, that the
contrast
of the colors on there, and also the fonts on them and the size of the font. Now I can read the smallest print in the darkest room, and I got one the other day and it was on a dark colored card and they had light green writing and it must have been size 6 font. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
You're trying not to do business. It was, and that was just a couple of different things, but there's others. Read the blog. It's really good blog, but it's those points on everything is to make things accessible for normal people, not normal people, normal sighted people. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. Average sighted people. I know you are so normal, Narelle. I didn't mean that, but I mean, you know what I mean.
How dare you call me normal?
I'm just getting my foot out of my mouth, and I'm going to take my foot out of my mouth now.
I think it's the best thing.
Just don't put the other one in.
Seriously, but Janine, you were so right. I mean, and this is everything I'm saying, everyone at some stage will have a barrier of some type. Just making meetings accessible means you're going to have more people that want to talk to you and meet you because you are considerate of others.
Yeah.
And that's all it comes down to.
Yeah. Anything else anyone wants to bring? I'm not saying a word now.
I'm just going to add that I haven't got a number. You two of you ladies had a number that you were living to. I don't know a number, but I know I'm doing it disgracefully.
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. We'll have to have a conversation about what job I'm going to have after I'm 90, but we'll wait till I have that conversation. That's brilliant. That's another conversation with the morning tea marketing missus for all the normal people.
From a group of abnormal ladies who just
forget I even said that, okay? I don't know where it came from. It's brilliant. It's later in the afternoon. I'm getting up so early every morning watching the Commonwealth Games and I'm Olympic Games, and I'm staying up late. It's my excuse, okay? What I'm doing.
You're being
Remember to
patriotic.
check us out on YouTube and to subscribe. You won't miss an episode then, and to like, and also to leave your comment. We look forward to reading them and you getting in contact with us. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.